So, hello all, welcome to Robinson Training. It's a continued video for the course Advanced Network Exploitation Expert. Myself, Rikun Sindwad, and I will be your instructor for this entire journey. I hold over 5 years of experience in cybersecurity. I'm a red teamer at work. I also do security researcher and hold multiple CVs. Couple of articles are published over Pen Test Magazine, OSCP, OSW, and OSCP certified from Offensive Security. The course Advanced Network Exploitation Expert helps you to build core knowledge against network security and penetration testing. It is designed for everyone with the basic understanding for the cybersecurity domain, like basic networking and the basic pen testing things. An example would be anyone with the knowledge of CEH. Post completion of the course, you will able to gain core concept understanding over various topics, perform internal or external penetration testing, perform extensive network assessment, find security misconfiguration within Active Directory environment, able to do privilege escalation over Windows and Linux machines, write automation scripts, and many more to go. Please read the disclaimer before moving ahead with the course content. We are continuing Web4Shell, and in the Web4Shell, we are learning different web application vulnerabilities that can be leads to a full-fledged RCE or remote command or code execution. The first was the SQL injection that is already conducted, and there were total 5 parts. So you can watch that in order to learn how the SQL injection can be escalated to be a full-fledged RCE. It was a specific for the MySQL. There are others like MS SQL or Oracle. However, it is not something part of this particular course. So if you want to learn, feel free to dig further, or you can comment below if you want to learn that as well. So I'll try to find time, make a setup or make a lab for that, and I'll explain each and everything for the same. So go ahead, if you haven't checked SQL injection, go and watch that. The second vulnerability that I have chosen in this particular video is for what? Is the file inclusion. And as similar to SQL injection, we will going to first initiate by learning different coding aspects, coding concept of the local file inclusion, so that we will be aware with the core understanding of what is the reason behind file inclusion or the similar bugs. So that's being said, let's dig into the practical concept. Here I will be using VSS Code for all the demonstration related to code and snippets thing, and we will be creating some dummy codes for the, of course, understanding each and every thing related to LFI, RFI, and whatnot. So let's start. The first file that I have created is file.php. This file will be responsible to load different files that I will going to create. So what I'm going to do, I'll create one folder named, let's say, files. This will going to contain different files related to PHP specific. Okay. And in that file folder, I will be creating multiple files. So let's say the first file here, that will be blog.php. The second file I want would be, let's say, info.php. The third file I want here is, let's say, hello.php. So let's assume that there are 3 different files with the extension of .php in this particular folder. That is file. And now this file.php will going to include each and every file based on whatever we supply. So for this particular, what I'm gonna do, I'll create one code snippet that will going to dynamically include files based on whatever we specify here. So let's get started, and I'll start with adding the regular syntax for PHP, that is bracket question mark PHP. I mean the less than sign question mark PHP and a question mark the greater than sign for the ending of this particular code. This is the general approach, right? Now what I'm gonna do is I want to create a variable. So let's say there will be a variable with the name of file name, and that will going to contain a $get method whatever we supply with a particular, let's say, value or the parameter that will gonna be name file name. Okay, so now whatever I supply with this particular file name, that will going to be stored here, that will going to be stored in this file name variable that can be reused multiple times later on. Perfect. Now the code would be include. It is a function that will going to include whatever you supply, whatever the file you supply. Okay, so I want to include a specific file, and that file would be this particular file name. Whatever you wish to supply, you can. Okay, so now let's assume that my user input with file.php question mark file name as it's a get method, and I assume that you are aware with the get and post, the basic HTTP methods. With the file name method, I will going to supply, let's say, value uh, file slash not the file, let's assume, let's go with something like hello.php. Now this hello.php will be tried to get it from this particular folder, right? I haven't added any folder here, so what I'm gonna do, I'll concatenate the folder, I mean the current folder, as well as the file name that is specified here. So for that, let's concatenate it in a variable file name. Let's make it final file name f is equals to, I want to concatenate files, or it's small files within apostrophe and slash. I want this to be concatenated with a particular variable, that is dollar file name. Now instead of file name, it will gonna be file name final. So the output would be here as files dot hello, oops, files slash hello dot php. This would be the final output for this, as I have supplied hello.php here. And eventually this include will gonna be include. Here it requires a file name, and the file name will be automatically taken from a variable, and the variable has this specified as a string. So it will be file slash hello dot php. Don't worry about vulnerability or anything as such, just understand the basic concept. Okay, so now this is pretty much clear. Let's give it a try to run this particular code. In order to run, what I'm gonna do, I'll use installed version of PHP, and I'm gonna create a server. And in order to create a server, you just have to type PHP hyphen capital S and the IP address and port number you wish to use. So I want to use 127.0.0.1 slash, not the slash, of course, it will gonna be colon. Let's go with the 80 port only, and this will going to be this will going to start HTTP server on port 80. Now let's access this particular folder, http colon slash slash 127.0.0.1. That's a local host slash, and the file name was file.php. As I hit enter, nothing happens. However, it does include a specific file. So there is a syntax error that says unexpected token include in this particular file.php. Okay, so there is something wrong with this include. Let's take a reference from the PHP document. So PHP include, here we go. This is another example. Okay, seems include doesn't require that bracket. Yep, it seems to be. Doesn't require. No problem. Let's remove those bracket and we are pretty much good to go. Perfect. Now what I'm gonna do, I'll try to reload the things in order to just clear this. Again, there is an error, syntax error, unexpected token include. I believe that it is something related to the parameter kind of error. So what I'm gonna do, I'll add a parameter that is file name, and I want hello.php, and let's hit enter. It says there is an error, unexpected, again something related to that. Seems like it's because of the end line semicolon. And let's give it a try one more time, and this time no error. So that's clear that this was because of the missing semicolon. So sometimes you have to be careful. All right, no worries, it seems to be fine, everything seems to be working. So I assume this error was not because of the bracket, and I was pretty much right. Is it? Yes, it seems to be. So it worked. It was able to include a particular file, that is hello.php. Let's try to modify this hello.php with the dummy code. I already have this dummy code with me. So let me copy the code and paste it. This will not going to do anything. This is just a plain HTML page with sort of things, and that's it. It is just a content. So now if I reload this page, hello.php, come on, my hello file, I want to be displayed here. I guess the file name is wrong. It's supposed to be a capital H. Let me modify this out. Here we go. Perfect. It says, hello, fantastic. Welcome to Robinson training. If I reload, it will automatically change this particular word. It's something that I have already designed. But yeah, this is what it is, right? The hello.php was successfully loaded by my code, that is this small snippet. What it was doing, it was getting a value from get method file name. And that file name does contains a particular file name, and that file name will be concatenating with the files folder, that is by design, and whatever file name you supply. Concatenating means a combining. Now this include is including that particular file. Similar to hello, let's modify this info.php as question mark this php, and this will just going to have php info dot p or it's something like this, php info. This is the function, and let's give it a try to include that as well, that is info.php. And here we go, we get some response back. So this info.php will going to display information about your php version, folders, libraries, and whatnot. So each and every information will gonna be captured or found here. Okay, the third one I want is this blog.php. For this, the code snippet I already have. Let me copy and paste it very quickly. Here we go, and let's give it a try. That's blog.php. Here, sample blog 1, sample blog 2, right? So this is just an example of how these files are included or loaded as a runtime with just this small function, that is include. And as you see, based on this file name, user will not going to have multiple files instead of just a single parameter and the file name they want to be accessed. So there are multiple use cases, or this might be something that you have already seen while searching or browsing any of the website, and it's quite common method that is being used by the devs. They really take a parameter name, file name or something, and they are going to include that. Similar to this include function, there are some more. For an example, there is a function require, and that's the identical of what we have seen here. So what I'm gonna do, instead of this include, I'm gonna use the require one. Now if I hit enter, it worked. If I go with the different one, let's say info.php, it works. If I go with the file that is not present, I'll get no files at all. If I go with the file that is present, I'll gonna get that file, right? In some cases, we see some error. In some cases, we do not. It all depends on debugging capability. So my browser doesn't or my the server doesn't allow those debug code to be displayed over the web content. So that hence it is displaying here. However, in some cases, you might find such error over the screen. That's being said, this is another function that is required. So remember, include, require. Apart from that, there are some more like include once, and we can supply our parameter name. And that's the identical. If I again try to load, not this info s, instead of I'll go with the info. Here we go. If I change info to, let's say, hello.php, it says, hello, incredible. Welcome to Propensive training, right? Similar to this include once, there is one more function that is often used by developers, and that is require once. So require and require once, both are identical. Now there is a difference. I'll show you what's the difference in a bit. So do not worry. Here we go. Hello, it works, right? Without that code, it will not gonna work, but with this particular code, it will going to work. Now let's understand what is difference between those include, require, include once, and require once. So I'll just gonna copy it to one text file, or let's copy it here itself. Oops, it's not copied yet. It's not copied yet as well. All right, I guess this time it's supposed to be. Or let me just open a text editor. That's much better way to explain. Here, for the include, includes and evaluates the specified file. What does it mean? It means it will going to include the content of a specific file that you supply. And evaluate means it will going to execute that. It will going to render the PHP code. If that particular file does have any PHP code, then it will going to render. For an example, this hello file does have some PHP code, and here we go. What it does, there are some smart words like awesome, amazing, fantastic, incredible, and whatnot. That is what displaying here as a dynamic content, right? So whatever PHP code you supply here, that will going to be evaluated, that will going to be executed in the current file. Second one is include once. Include once includes and evaluates the specific file only once, means it will be just a single time. Not again and again and again kind of. It's almost similar, no difference to be honest, because you will be going to include that only once, right? The require includes and evaluates the specific file. If the file is not found, it generates a local fatal error. With the require, it will going to show an error, whereas the include may not display that error at all. Similarly, require once includes and evaluates the specific file only once in the code, like once that code has reached or that exe file has been executed, it will not gonna be kept for a long kinda. If the file is not found, it generates a fatal error. Means the file similar to what we have seen in the require once is almost the same. The only difference with require, that file gonna be loaded multiple times, or that file gonna be included there for a long, whereas the require once will just going to load and unload it immediately like that, like execute that file and that's it. That all has been over. It will not gonna be kept for a long kind of thing. So that's being said, this is what all I have planned for this particular video. And I hope you like the concept. I hope you like and understood this particular thing. A small nudge for the exploitation part. So what I'm gonna do, I will going to add another file here. Let's say here, secret.php. Okay. This is just a file that is not something I'm aware of. So I'm just going to add here, hello, this is secret, and please subscribe. Okay, this is a random file with just a basic text content, and let's try to do something interesting. So instead of this hello.php, if I supply something like dot dot slash hello.php, what it will become? It will become files dot dot slash hello.php, files dot dot slash hello.php. Perfect. And if I try to read this particular file, which is file dot dot slash and whatnot, let me open another one. Cat, this file is not present, but instead of this hello, if I try to go with something like secret.php, I will be able to read the content. Here we go. So as my parameter is not validating anything, I am able to navigate in the backward direction. But this going back in the backward direction is not a vulnerability, that is local file inclusion. I'll explain in the next video, so stay tuned. So what you see here with the dot dot slash is the directory traversal or a path traversal. This is not file inclusion. I'll explain in detail. Stay tuned in the next. So that's it. That's all. See you next time. And of course, before moving ahead, let's give it a try from my browser. Instead of this hello.php, I'm going to include dot dot slash secret.php. And yeah, this says this is secret. Please subscribe and please do it. There's something required. That's it. That's all. See you next time.